Look at that, Mr. Kaufman.
You
I
get a kick out
always,
of that every time. Every time this pops on, I see you got a big smile on your face.
it's the applause. It's the applause on the
You did.
intro thing that gets me every time. Like typically back in my old human resources days before I hung that shingle in retirement, I used to come and speak to the teachers in the different groups and welcome back sessions and all that stuff too. But human resources doesn't exactly get applause most of the time. So I'm just saying it's good to hear the applause. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It sounds like your previous life as an administrator gave you a little bit of trauma.
There were there were some days, brother. There were some days.
Oh, I
That's
can
right.
imagine.
Yep. Yep.
Being in the public eye is I, I don't have any interest in that part of it. So thank God for people like you. But anyway, man, I'm doing good today, man. It's Friday. Not that that means a whole lot to me. I'll probably be.
Friday fun day.
It is Friday Fun Day, so it
Yeah.
does mean date night. It's
There
date.
you go. That's right. Oh yeah, Mexican date night
Yeah,
typically, right?
yeah.
Yes.
We found a new Mexican place here that is just cream of the crop as far as I'm concerned, as it relates to Mexican. But so yeah, we have date night tonight, and you know, back at it tomorrow, plugging away tomorrow. But hey, I actually, I'm doing a bunch of software work right now, and I actually enjoy it, even though it does have me glued to my seat
Yeah.
quite a bit. Um, I do enjoy it. It's a labor of love, I guess you can say, if there's any real labor involved. But anyway, how about you, man?
Um, it's going all right. We are at as we discussed before we started filming here. We're in what we call here in the St. Louis metro area false spring.
Yep.
So it's going to snow Monday, and it
Fall.
was 80 degrees last weekend.
Yeah.
So we call that false spring.
Yeah.
So just stay tuned. Like, don't lose sight of the fact it's March 13th. I know spring technically is what, March 20th or 21st or whatever the vernal equinox is. So it's all good, but it can snow in April, and it does regularly. Just FYI. So here in our neck of the woods. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It won't be long before we'll be complaining about the dog days of summer here in the armpit of America.
Yeah, we have a lot of seasons. We probably have like actually 15 or 18 seasons. There's spring, and then there's fall spring, and then there's early summer, and then all that stuff. So it's just the way we roll around here. This is just what you have to do.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's on the agenda for today's podcast episode of the Creative Real Estate Investing Mastery? What do we have on the agenda for today, Mr. Kaufman?
This is a good one. I think this is a good one for. I mean, you don't even have to be a new investor. I think a new investor. I think a lot of investors, regardless of the time that they're in this business, they sometimes feel like this as well. But today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. So I'm going to paint a picture for everyone. If you could, I don't know, close your eyes or whatever.
I will.
I don't want to get corny, but anyway, but if you could imagine yourself, you've gone out, you've done, let's say you've gone out, you've done all this marketing, you're finally, the phone's starting to ring, and you're getting ready to go on an appointment, whether it's your first appointment or, you've been on 100 of them. There's always this little, for some people, this is not true, but for the vast majority of us, it is true. There's always this little bit of, I don't know if I want to call it anxiety, but there's this little bit of fear about what you're going to encounter when you go on this appointment. And so let's say you get the appointment scheduled and the day finally arrives, or maybe you're going out that very same day, which hopefully you are. You're sitting at the end of the driveway. You're getting ready to get out. You don't know what conversation is coming, and palms are sweaty, uh, and
White
you
knuckling.
literally
Like,
have this instance of this reluctance to go up and knock on the door. It's almost like getting a shot, I guess. For those of you who are afraid of needles, there's this instant where you need it. You might need that. It's funny we're talking about this before we jumped on here because I'm getting ready to have this surgery. Talk about getting a shot or getting a steroid shot. It's that same type of feel. It's like you're not really looking forward to it, but you got to do it. Uh, and what is that is not being comfortable, obviously, in the situation, and that is what we're going to call imposter syndrome. Perhaps it might not be necessarily imposter syndrome, but it is a that little bit of reluctance is not knowing what's coming. And so we want to talk today about maybe some strategies on how to uh, kind of get over yourself and get over that fear, that initial fear that you have, and move past so that you can continue to just build that credibility and build that confidence. Because without it, your job is essentially going to be axed. You're not going to marketing is 90% of it, but what you do after those leads start rolling in is certainly key. It all has to kind of work together. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
so that is interesting. So can I just dial in a little bit because this hits really close to home. So back in the day, back, back in the day, so 25 years ago now, right? 25 years ago when like I'm doing this. I mean, you're trying to go to your first one, and what you're saying is like sitting in your car, the first new real estate investor going to knock on the door of the seller appointment, right? It, and it's so true. Like you don't know what the hell you're doing, what the hell you don't know, how the conversation's going to go, even though you have a script. We'll probably talk about that here and say, like, your script. There's never a time that you have a conversation with a seller or even another investor that goes according to your script, right? So you just like, okay, I don't know what I don't know and all that. And like, it just really like clenches your sphincter. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, but that is really, if I was like, I know that I still get that today, not to that extreme, but I was still like, okay, we closed upwards like hundreds of deals at this point, right? And I still get that feeling about, okay, is this, do I know what like, are the numbers right? Do I know what I'm doing? Like it's all this doubt stuff. So it's a really good time, especially in this market, to figure out how you can, like, you don't necessarily have to know everything, but you need to be a professional and you need to be the expert in the room. The seller has you coming in there to be the expert. That doesn't mean you have to have every answer to every question. And it's okay to say you don't know. Like, right? That's part of one of the things. Like, you have to be authentic. But it's such a good topic. You're right. It's such a good topic because I still struggle with that today. So I don't know about you, but it's still not as extreme. But I mean, there's still it's a self doubt,
Yeah,
right? Imposter syndrome is all about your self doubt.
yeah, yeah. There's a couple things involved with it. By the way, I said this earlier. This is not unique to. I mean, I'm pretty sure most investors feel this way. They feel like a complete fake and at some point in their career. But I think I think I think where we go from here is just going to talk about maybe talk about the do's and don'ts. Let's get the basics out of the way, um, and then we can talk about real strategy and how to actually overcome this. So, um, what would you say is the what's rule number one? What are we doing? How are we presenting ourselves once we do show up to that appointment and actually get the nerve to knock on the door, what's our first step?
So for me, let's talk about your physical appearance. Okay, so don't go on a seller appointment, a distressed seller appointment. Probably, you're going to look at an as-is property. It's in arrears. You probably should pitch depending on the numbers, like this being a subject to deal, whatever that looks like, and you want to look professional. What does that mean? When you're a buyer, a real estate investor that's a buyer of that distressed property, what does that mean? To me, it does not mean, right? So this is a don't go in a three-piece suit. You're not a banker. Okay. That does not necessarily build credibility. Don't go in a tank top and shorts either.
Yeah.
Right. So go in, maybe the polo shirt. Jeans is probably okay as long as they're not ripped everywhere. Right. Like, present the image that you are authentic, because you need to build rapport. It's about connecting with the seller, not about trying to sell them a used car in a three-piece suit. Right. So that would be my first thing, I think.
Yeah. The way I like to phrase that is don't go in looking like a greasy car salesman,
Right. Exactly.
looking like a homeless person, you know?
Yeah. Don't, right. It's just have a happy medium to that
Yeah.
in there, and be authentic.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, jeans are totally fine. Polo shirt. If it's in the wintertime, for me, I'll go with it. I'll go in a t-shirt. Of course, I'm probably going to have my logo on the t-shirt, but I'll go in a
Right.
t-shirt as long as I can wear a jacket.
Yeah,
So
put your business, like, if you have business apparel, or get business apparel, is it t-shirt, sweatshirt, whatever,
yeah,
that's great too, because that every time the seller can look at you and remember your business name or whatever, like, it's just a visual thing that keeps you top of mind, even subconsciously. Like, do that,
yeah,
but don't look like a bum.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny. Um, we can get it. We're going to get into strategy here in a minute, but it's 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 kind of wild. Sometimes I've been to properties where you have someone who's probably not dressed appropriately. And I don't get tied up in dress all that much. In fact, you know, you know, you know me well enough to know that I don't do dress at all. Like, if someone's going to make me put on a tie, I'm probably going to avoid the event. I just won't do it. So this profession kind of suits me perfectly because I get to go, being comfortable. And part of that dressing comfortable, it does relax the mind. At least it does for me. And so it makes having a conversation for me a whole lot easier if I'm not worried about what I look like, or, you know, uh, I mean, I personally don't think anybody should worry about that at all, but that's not reality. That is not what actually, uh, that's actually not what happens in real life. So, but yeah, polo shirts are great. Just look normal. Just look like a normal person, because the truth of the matter is, people, they don't want to. A lot of these folks are they're distressed, and they're stressed out, and talking to someone who is who they feel like is bullying them is not going to bode well, and
Yep.
it's just not going to be a good conversation. They're going to feel intimidated, perhaps. The seller is, anyway.
Yep.
And yeah, I
It,
just think the conversation goes strictly to, when you present yourself like that, it goes straight to the facts and the figures and the numbers and this, and that's not what they need. They're kind of in an emotional state that that needs a little bit of nurturing.
yep. And also too, just as another tip, just before we move on from physical appearance, don't wear a hat. Don't wear a baseball hat.
Yeah,
It distracts from the message. Okay, it
yeah,
distracts from the message.
I think. Yeah,
And by the way, look the seller in the eye. Greet them, shake their hand, and look them in the eye. Don't look down at their feet. Look them in the eye. You only get one first impression.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's something that's really easy to do too. Um, if and what it involves, or what it, how you don't, your physical actions will follow how you're, how you're feeling. And so what I mean by that is, if you are actually listening, if you can just erase everything else from your mind and focus just on that conversation, your eyes will follow. Your eyes will do the right things. Your eyes will be looking at them because you are actually engaged in a conversation. And it's kind of one. It's a. I guess it's a little. I don't know. Maybe a psychological
Yeah,
trick. I
for
say,
sure. Yeah.
but yeah, if you are actually listening and taking in the information as you should be, uh, you won't have a problem looking them in the eye. I don't think. At least that's the way it is for me. I don't know about you, but
Yeah. And you get absolutely, and you need to. If that's a self confidence thing in there. You are in there. Remember, you are there to solve a problem, especially in a distress situation. You are there to solve a problem. Look them in the eye and tell them how you can solve the problem.
yeah,
That's it,
yeah,
right?
that gets into another kind of another little section here that we need to talk about. And this is what, this drives a lot of imposter syndrome, because people just think they don't know. They don't know the answers to their questions. They don't know enough about this business. And that is partially true for a lot of folks who, are brand new getting into it.
Yeah,
It takes a long time to really um, gain that now. It's not even just knowledge; it's experience. Because as we've said a million times, no two deals are alike. There's
yeah,
always some little twist. I'm telling you, I think every single deal that I've ever done, there has always been some. They're the hard and fast things. We've got to run title, we've got to run our numbers, but there's always something personal that seems to go on in these situations.
yeah,
Those are the things, if you are truly listening,
yeah,
you are truly listening, that is what's going to build the experience portion of your brain, where the knowledge can come, or you can figure out the knowledge, you can figure out how to solve certain problems. um, so having the knowledge necessarily, I guess let's break this up into kind of a pie chart type of thing, if we can. I just
sure.
thought,
You
let's
got
say
pie on the mind? Sure, let's do it,
we
brother.
have
Let's
a
do
pie
it.
chart. It's divided into three sections. It's divided right down the middle, and then it's that half of that circle is divided in half. 50% or that big half of that pie chart is the doing. It is the getting up the nerve. It is getting to the appointment. That includes, we talked about the dress part of it. Um, the the upper quarter is going to be the listening part, and the understanding of their actual problem. And then you have, another the other third, well, the bottom lower quadrant is knowledge. So it is a big, uh, there is a I'm sorry, it's knowledge and experience is what that I left out the experience part. So the biggest part is done. You're at the appointment. But the knowledge and the experience, they kind of, is coalesce the right word I'm looking for? They kind of merge.
Yeah,
One comes with the other, and they build on one another. But you don't necessarily have to. The knowledge is probably the least important part of that, from my point of view, because I learned through experience. And I it's great to be smart. It's great to know what you're talking about, but that doesn't really come without the experiences. Just my take.
yeah. Can I say something about this? The smart.
Yeah.
You do not have to be the smartest person in the room, right? Again, when you're with the seller, right? It's just you and the seller. So maybe it's two people, right? A couple, whatever it is, right? You cannot, right? Let me just repeat that. You cannot belittle them and come across as some knowledge level expert, right? In other words, don't be that guy, right? When you're there, don't be that guy. It's okay to say I don't know the answer to that question. You got to lean into especially if this is like, say, let me back up a step. The very first seller appointment you're going to go on, you should expect not to get the deal because it's going to be a train wreck. Period. Expect it. That's just the way it's going to be, right? Because you have to get the experience. Okay.
Bonus if you get it.
Right. And maybe you do get it because maybe you solved the problem. Maybe the biggest thing that they wanted to know was how can I keep my piano in here that has been in the family for 6 generations? And you're like, well, shit, I'll just pay to have it moved in. It's like no big deal, right? And maybe it was just some detail because you listened, like you mentioned before, you listened about what the big deal was to them, right? And so maybe you do get it, but don't expect that because you're going to make a ton of mistakes, right? You might be sweating through your shirt in your pits, like, so it might be might be completely obvious you're nervous and all that. It's okay, but you have to do it because you have to get the experience. Because on the next one you do, right, you will know, okay, I'm going to go in here a little differently this time. I'm going to say things differently. I'm going to listen more instead of doing all the talking like I did last time, right? So don't come across, even if you are the smartest guy in the room, don't come across like that to the sellers, right? Don't belittle them. Don't talk down to them. Normal everyday people easily are very attuned to assholes coming in their house and talking down to them. Don't do it.
There's
Right.
a this has happened to me on multiple occasions. I'm not the world's greatest speaker. I do ahs. You just go back and listen to these podcasts, and you'll find out. But I have been to so many appointments where you know the sellers will have called because they're not dumb. They will have called multiple companies that do what we do, and to the point that you'll see a stack of we buy houses cards
Mm.
on a kitchen table.
Yep, sitting there. Yes, yes. Not uncommon to see that, by the way. Yes.
But some of them are smart enough to have a lot of us come at one time. It creates, we do the same thing when we sell, and it essentially creates kind of a bidding war. Who can pay the most? And I have been through so many houses where, in that situation where we have multiple buyers walking through the house, and I will listen to some of these conversations between the buyers and the seller.
Mm.
And some of these people, I mean, they come in there just ripping the house apart, and it's
Yep.
like, just these cabinets are going to have to be ripped out.
Yep.
The floors are, they're old. They're going to need to be refinished or ripped out, or
Yep.
and you need a new roof. Like, this roof is, and I have listened to this, and I'm just
Yep.
sitting here, I'm cringing. My inside, I'm pissed, and I'm cringy because this is the last thing that these people need to hear. The
Yeah.
very last thing. I
Yep.
mean, so when you say don't be that guy,
Mm.
uh, yes, but in addition to that, don't be this other guy either.
Yeah.
Don't be
Don't
the
be those. Yeah. Don't be those people.
ripping these people apart, making a what is potentially a bad situation even worse.
Right.
And I will
Good.
tell you for sure, without a doubt, that I have walked these properties with people like that. And on a couple of occasions, I have made the exact same offer on that property. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, this is actually not far from where I live, which is kind of uncomfortable. I have to be honest, because, like, I don't know, it was kind of weird to see them. I only had to drive like 2 blocks to go look at this house. But when I got there, I made my offer right on site, and which is not a bad strategy if you have the rapport. But the seller then told me that, well, so and so just made the exact same offer, and and she said, and I think we're going to go with your offer, and it's just because. I mean, it was purely emotional. She just did not. She felt comfortable with me. I wasn't in there tearing the house apart and telling her everything she needed to do and all this. I mean, that stuff really, really. I mean, it really matters a lot. So, uh, word to the wise: don't be
Yes.
that dude.
Don't be that guy. And you're so right. You just think like we forget a lot of times, and wholesalers are good about setting up the showings at one time, so 25 people show up at the one time, and start measuring body parts about who knows more about updating the house. But uh, if the seller is there, right, they're already in a distress situation. We're going to assume it's a distress. Most of the time, it's a distress situation. To distress situations. Why on earth are you kicking them when they're down?
Yeah,
How stupid is that?
yeah, yeah.
Like you wouldn't want somebody to come in there and do that. These people have been living in the house. They are doing the best that they can with what they have. They
Mhm.
don't need to. They know that the damn water leaks in the corner. They can see it every time. You don't need to point it out. Like,
Yeah,
relax, man.
yeah,
Like, remember who you're talking, like who you're talking to. Remember the situation that you're going into, and maybe you don't know all the details of the situation we're going, but just assume it's a distress situation. Like, don't. And that's exactly why you got that deal, because it's just like it's like, yeah, well, I do what I say I'm going to do. I don't know what the other guy does, but that's just how I work. So just let you know.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. Being an asshole
Yeah.
doesn't give you credibility at all. Credibility, credibility to a distressed seller is empathy and clarity. That's what it is. It's not telling them everything that's wrong with their house.
Yep. And
I,
you
I
should
yeah,
also too, let's say the other situation is true. Let's say that you're the one and only person that the seller has called to come in there. Well, that's great because you kind of have a captive audience. But I'm of the mind, like, I'll flat out tell them, well, you should get other people in here. Like, you should get another opinion. I mean, if my offer satisfies you, great. I've got the contract right here. We can sign that. But I would advise you to get other people in here. And 99 times out of 100, that actually adds credibility to you.
1000%. Yep.
So just remember that. Don't be beating down your competition, right? Even if he's an asshole, you know he's an asshole. Like, you don't have to say that to the seller. The actions of the other person, right? It's not always, I say him. It's not always him or her. The actions of the other person speak loudly, right? So I mean, you don't really necessarily need to point it out, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there's plenty of deals. You just do you as it relates to that, and stay in your lane, and it's all good. So
Yep. Yep. It's real simple.
yeah,
Yeah, it's simple, but it's not easy for a lot of people. It's shut your mouth, except for when you're asking great questions, great relevant questions, and listen. Everybody knows the old, 2 ears, one mouth adage, and it's very, very true, man. I'm telling you, it is. It's very true. Not only do you learn, not only do you learn through that, like, and learn the, and by that I mean the things that you need to know to get the deal done, but it gives the seller a sense of power. It puts them in the power position, or what they think is the power position, and I don't want to categorize it as a strategy because it should just be. It's not a sales strategy or anything. It's just how you need to be.
yeah,
Uh, it's just how things get worked out in these deals.
yeah.
So
And
um,
if you haven't, so moving along the same track, the same theme, especially if you're a newer real estate investor, going into the seller conversation, or maybe you're adding creative financing strategies to your toolbox, and so now you're going to you've met with sellers before, maybe from a wholesaling perspective, or it's just a straight fix and flip, or whatever. but now you're trying to add that in. So now you're kind of nervous because you've not done a Sub2 deal before, and so now you've got the imposter syndrome all because I don't know what the hell I'm doing with the subject two and all that, blah blah blah, right? So it's about, again, just we need to beat this down. I think just one more time. It's about connecting with the seller, listening to the seller, right? Solving the problem that exists for the seller, not your problem, their problem, solving the problem that exists. You don't have to be credibility in the eyes of the seller. Your credibility is about, did they listen to me? Did they make a reasonable offer? Did they answer my questions? Did I connect with that person? Right? Was the person not an ass like we just talked about? Right? That's credibility for the seller in a distress situation. Not
Yeah.
about how many hours of training you've been to, not about any of that. They might ask you how many deals you've done. I know some people do that, some people don't. Like all that's great, right? But again, just solve the problem for the seller. That's all you need to do. Listen and solve it.
Yeah. And one more piece to that, to the credibility piece, I would say is follow up. Excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit, but and not the type of follow up that you might be thinking, but follow up with, a normal conversation. Not, hey, this is Jeff. Are you still looking to sell that house? That's not the type of follow up I'm talking about.
No.
The type of follow up I'm talking about is, hey, I'm just reaching out here. I just wanted to see how you're doing. Is everything going okay? Um, that's it. That's all you need to do. It's just a real simple conversation. Makes them feel. And by the way, you shouldn't say that unless you believe it.
Yeah, don't you can't fake that.
Yeah,
No, I mean, you can initially, but ultimately you will not be able to. That will not fly. So yes, you better mean what you say.
well, that's what I mean when I say if you can tune everything else out and you can actually listen and absorb as much of that information as you possibly can, you're going to become, and I hate to say emotional, but you're going to have that empathy for them. You're going to understand that situation, and it just makes the rest of that deal. I mean, it smooths it out. It just smooths everything out. I'm not going to say it becomes like butter, but it makes every conversation after that initial conversation way easier, even the negotiation part of it. So uh, I'm telling you, the key to this appointment or to these appointments is listening to these folks and really taking in what they're saying.
Yeah, and another thing about the follow up too, and it's not a follow up of like, are you ready to sign the contract? Like, of course, that can come into the conversation. It's follow up. Thanks for taking the time to meet with me. Like, I understand this is a hard situation for you. We're here to help. Let me know if you have any other questions, or if you couldn't answer something that they had, and you need, just make sure you answer the question. And
Yeah,
if you say you're going to do that the next day, do it the next day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a big hang up.
Yeah.
You are really good about that. Um, sometimes I slip. Depends on how busy I am. But anyway,
It harkens back to the HR days where like, it's not that hard to get your contract in on time. Get your contract in on like just follow. And then I just think to myself, I need to model that behavior for like the organization,
yeah,
right? Make sure that it's known. So I do that. So if I say I'm going to do it, I have to do it.
yeah,
And sometimes emergencies and situations come up, and just tell them, just say, hey, I won't be able to get back with you tomorrow. The situation came up. I will the next day, whatever. But just let them know. Just don't ghost people, right? Don't
yeah.
ghost it. So
Yeah, I have slipped up on that before. Although when I do follow up with them, it's always that that personal conversation is never. It's almost never unless I'm talking to a landlord who just knows the game, someone who's been in been a landlord or a real estate investor for a while, I can ask them about the house, but
Yeah.
a distress motivated seller, I got to talk about their situation. So
So can,
let's,
can we? I just threw up shameless plug for the podcast. The Sub2 documents package. We just talked about, just to segue into it more. We just talked about maybe you're adding the Sub2 stuff into your toolbox as a new investor. So you're kind of like a new investor, like you're going on your first seller meeting as it relates to like pitching the Sub2 deal or being able to put that in your toolbox. That's not something that you can fake either. Like, you need to know, not going back to, there is some knowledge base that has to exist for the subject to deal, because you don't want to say something that runs afoul of the legalities of things. Like, you need to have some understanding that you don't need to know every detail necessarily, but you need to have an understanding of how that subject to flows and be honest and forthright. Like we have in the Sub2 documents package, like we have that the questions almost every time you get asked in regards to subject to deal. Well, what does that mean? Am I staying on the mortgage? And what is that? So like, if you don't make payments, what happens there? Like, all those things are normal, reasonable questions to ask. So you need to be able to answer some of those questions if you're pitching it as Sub2. Now, if it's a straight fix and flip cash deal, like, you don't have to worry about that stuff necessarily. I mean, you still need to know things, but the
yeah,
Sub2, I think anyway, like, you can disagree maybe with some of it, but I think you need to have a certain knowledge base as it relates to the Sub2 when you go in there and talk with the sellers. You can't just wing that,
yeah,
right? You do need to know some of that. That's why we have a checklist. That's why we have the documents packages. We have a video explaining what the purpose of this document is and why it's important. So
yeah. In the if you are presenting a subject to offer, um, number one, I don't. This is just kind of this is a personal preference of mine. I never mention subject to. I never say the word subject to these folks because, um, well, we just did a podcast here a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, about some bad actors down in Florida
yeah,
that bought a bunch of properties subject to. Well, guess what? All it takes is um, someone Googling subject to, and now they've got all this information. And it's not that I'm trying to keep it from them. It's just I those are the type of folks that give what we do a bad name. So I never mention that to them, but it's always a very, very low pressure explanation of what subject to actually means. I don't get into the details. I don't start talking about, um, you know, I'm going to put it into a trust and this and this and that. It's not, that's how you take title to it is irrelevant, first of all. But you just don't want to get super deep into the woods, because the next thing you know, uh, you're in this battle, and you potentially have questions that you can't answer, and that all that's doing is destroying your credibility. So really, really low pressure, easy explanation of
yeah,
what subject to is, and you could say something as simple as, "Hey, what we'll do is we'll come in here, we're going to catch up your payments, and we're going to start making your mortgage payments every
yeah,
month. How's that work for you? Does that sound all right?" It's really, really that simple. You don't need to get super deep down into that rabbit hole, that knowledge rabbit hole that a lot of people do.
yeah. Straightforward too,
Yeah,
right? Right, and you don't have to actually use the term Sub2 because it is getting a bad name.
I don't like it.
A
I
bad
don't
name for my
like it.
budget. You're exactly right. Like, we're going to catch up your back payments, your arrears. We're going to catch up your back payments, all of that stuff. And here's what. And so we're going to close. Title will change hands, but we're going to continue to keep your loan in place, and we're gonna make payments on it.
Yep, yep. And when I'm just going to go back to the very beginning. When I first heard of this, I was like, who in their right mind would allow that to happen?
Yeah,
These people have to be stupid. But you would be insanely shocked. I've built an entire career off of subject to, um, and I'm still to this day, sometimes I wonder. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that has helped me to build the confidence to be able to present these offers to people, because I'm not so shocked anymore. There are a lot of people out here um, that are totally on board with something like that, as long as it relieves them of this stress and this pressure that they're under. So I guess that's maybe one valuable lesson from all of this is, excuse me, your preconceived notions about what somebody else is willing to do are probably wrong almost 90% of the time. I mean, people
Yep.
are very, very open to these ideas. And for that fact, because of that fact, you should be making a subject to offer. If the property has a mortgage on it, you should be making a subject to offer on every single one of them.
Yep.
And like I say, the knowledge, boy, I'm really losing my voice here. Knowledge is important, but don't let the knowledge keep you from presenting that type of offer. And then just use your experience as you build that experience to kind of pitch that offer in a low pressure type of way. Make
Yep.
sense?
Yep. And listen and solve the problem. That's the key thing. Like if you keep nothing else in your head when you're sweating your pits out, going up to knock on the door, listen, solve problem. Listen, solve problem. Right? Just keep that in focus, and you'll be fine. Trust me, you'll be fine. You might still sweat out the pits, but you'll be fine. Right? And sometimes you just like to take this. So sometimes we can't overstate this. This is another imposter syndrome on kind of a different level too. Like we've done and just done way more subject to deals than I have, but we've done a lot of these deals, like not even subject to creative financing deals, like I do these deals in foreign countries even, right? So we know, like we have the knowledge and experience, right? As people, right, that have a coaching program, like that's what you want to do, especially if you're new. Use us. And if not us, use somebody that has the knowledge and experience that you connect with that can help you do that, right? That has a subject to documents package with, or that will partner with you on the deal, that will fund the damn deal for you, right? So we're taking all this, right? Right. Remember, we have a turnkey system, nearly turnkey, getting to be turnkey system in there too. And that's what the power of partnering with, right? Whatever you want to call them, experts, gurus, like I don't think of myself as a guru. I just think of myself as a guy that's done a lot of deals, retired at 45 because of real estate. Shit works. Like that's what I think of myself as. So, right. And so that's a whole nother posture, posture thing there too. But that's a partner with us. That's the last shameless plug of the day.
Yeah, I think the key piece to all that is if we didn't think that this was valid and credible, there's no way we'd be putting our money into it. So, um, the fact that I mean, we could potentially, this works out this way 90% of the time. We have a partner come in, we help them find the deal, we help vet the deal for them, we help them get through the closing of the deal, and then we actually fund the deal for, if it's a subject to deal, say they need arrears or something like that, we'll actually fund that deal. Now the partner thing comes in because we're actually, if we go through that scenario and we go through all of that and we've got money in the deal and everything, we will actually partner with them on that deal, and they get the majority of that deal. We're probably not going to go over numbers here, but they get the majority of that deal, and it works out really, really great because the partner is learning all of this knowledge. They're getting through uh, all this coursework. It's I say coursework, but they're just gaining all of this knowledge, and they're helping them to become more and more comfortable with doing these types of deals. And guess what? They're zero out of pocket. They're zero out of pocket for those deals. There's nothing more that they need to come up with. So it works out. Then eventually, way it kind of shakes out is eventually you're able to go off on your own, feel really comfortable with what you're doing, and continue to build your empire. So it works out really really well. We love it.
Yep. And we know it works because we have a student right now that's literally managing 6 deals. Most of them Sub2. So we know it works, and that can stretch you a little thin. That's a whole nother scale up
That's another podcast right
episode.
there.
That's another podcast. So
We need to do it.
with that, we'll just leave you with that. So hopefully we had some little tips. And I still feel imposterish sometimes, even though it's not quite as bad as it used to be 25 years ago. But we just have to deal with it, brother. We just have to deal. That's all you can do.
Yeah, yeah. I think on my end of the table, I don't really feel I don't feel like an imposter when it comes to Subject 2 stuff or creative finance. I might feel like a little bit of an imposter when it comes to getting on these podcasts, though.
I hear you.
It feels it's something I've never gotten over. I used to, before you came on board, I did this stuff. I would sit and look into this camera out into the ether, just wondering if anybody was going to watch. And you know, I'm still not comfortable in front of a camera, and I think it has to do with a little bit of imposter syndrome. So I mean, it hits everybody. Nobody's immune to it.
Yep.
So, all right,
We're
guys,
all,
call it here.
yep, we're all human. Yeah, have a great weekend, and we will be on spring break next week, so no podcast next week. So we will see you in a couple weeks.
That's right. Take care, guys.